Fellas, there's nothing better in MMA than watching someone give it the big talk online and then go in the octagon and get the crap beaten out of them for the words that they've said. So I'm going to be going through the most satisfying UFC losses we've had in modern history. Losses that have just been massively satisfying to watch. And we'll start off with this past weekend, Pereira knocking out Ankalaev. This has to be one of my most favourite finishes I've watched live, or watching at a live UFC event. I mean, first of all, the tweets from Ankalaev constantly kind of provoking Pereira. Even though we all know it was Ali Abdelaziz, I feel like knowing it was Ali Abdelaziz kind of makes the loss even more sweeter. That one of his biggest fighters have just lost. So the constant tweets from Ankalaev were annoying. Two, the whole tyre shop situation, the whole unprovoked tyre shop bringing up from Ankalaev just for him to be the one going to the tyre shop after UFC 320. And three, he was just a boring fighter. Listen, I don't have anything against him personally, but Ankalaev has to be one of the worst modern champions we've had from an entertainment perspective. Boring-ass fighter in the octagon. Zero highlight reels apart from that one knockout he had over Johnny Walker last year. Just overall a massively boring fighter. So watch Porton go out there, chin Ankalaev, save the light heavyweight division, save the UFC, save his title reign, and become the champion and instantly transform into one of the best champions in the light heavyweight division. It was satisfying to watch. To go from the worst to the best champion in modern history, from Ankalaev to Porton, the trash talk that Ankalaev had leading up to the Porton fight, the fact that, like I said, the light heavyweight division, the super fights, the pay-per-views were saved with Alex winning, and obviously Ali Abdelaziz having to watch one of his biggest fighters lose. Porton go there and knocking him out, even in the way that he did as well. Like I said, the fact that it was so quick, just 1 minute, dusted the job, got in there, knocked him out, got out, won the belt, took it home. Easy as shit from Porton. So him knocking out Ankalaev, definitely one of the most satisfying losses I've seen. And on the topic of Porton, him knocking out Jamal Hill as well. Yeah, Jamal Hill. I feel like he's improved nowadays. He's not as salty as he used to be, but leading up to the Porton fight, this guy had some crazy confidence. Trash-talking Porton, grabbing the mic, trying to provoke him at every kind of give him opportunity. And it's not even just the trash talk, because I think trash talk is, something you've got to expect. It's the constant mocking online, trash-talking fans as well. Just a super salty and arrogant fighter. And he might have been the saltiest fighter in the UFC. To see Porton, similar to the Ankalaev fight, in 2 minutes, go out there and left hook Jamal Hill, send him flying and knock him out. Again, one of the most satisfying losses, and I guess you can say every Jamal Hill loss is kind of satisfying. I mean, the one with Yuri, where Yuri's beating the shit out of Jamal Hill, where Roundtree put in a 5-round clinic. When Jamal Hill's trash talking online, getting salty and talking trash, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing him lost. But I feel like this was definitely the most satisfying one, because obviously Hill, apart from that Paul Craig loss, hadn't lost in the UFC. He had more confidence than ever, trash talking people online, super salty. To see him get knocked out in the way that he did, super satisfying to see. Also, Merab versus Usman Nurmagomedov. Now, this has got nothing against Umar. I don't think Umar has anything to kind of, celebrate him losing, but it's more of the fan base, the Dagestani fan base. I feel like this whole kind of new wave over the past couple of years of these Dagestani heavy fans that don't even watch the sport, but they support these Dagestani heavy fighters. It's just been so frustrating. Talking about Umar as if he's going to smash up Merab and overlooking Merab. Now, to be fair, I did pick Umar to win this fight. I kind of bought in the hype, but it was just satisfying to see Merab, of all people, be the guy to beat a Dagestani. On top of that as well, again, nothing against Umar, but he didn't really have that, nothing in his resume to prove that he could beat Merab. His only ranked win was a decision over Corey Sandhagen, where he lost a couple of rounds in that as well. So, Merab beating Umar Nurmagomedov, it was satisfying to see Umar finally take his first loss. I don't want to say he got humbled, because there was nothing crazy coming out of Umar's mouth before the fight, but to see Merab win in the fashion that he did against Umar as well, out wrestling the wrestler, the Dagestani Khabib trained wrestler, it was satisfying to see. As well, the fan base, the Dagestani fan base kind of being shut up a little bit, that was satisfying to see. I'm going to go with Nickal versus Nickal, which might be the most satisfying loss of 2025 outside of maybe Ankalaev and Porton, and this was just because of the crazy talk and kind of the smug attitude that Nickal had before the fight, saying things like he could beat Khamzat Chimaev when his best win was a decision, a pitter-patter decision with Paul Craig. Say that he would absolutely dog-walk Khabib in a wrestling match if they were to ever wrestle, and just his whole arrogant personality that Nickal had about him being able to beat everyone and saying that he's got by far the best wrestler in the UFC, massively overrated, especially guys like DC, again, saying that he beats Chimaev and he's a future UFC champion. And then we obviously see him take on Nickal, and he gets crumpled. He can be the nail, he can be the hammer, he cannot be the nail. The first kind of big shot that he took, the first bit of adversity that Nickal takes by Nickal, he ends up getting crumpled, and he looked awful in this fight. His gas tank wasn't as what we thought he would be. He didn't look he didn't look dangerous at all on the ground. down. He managed to take Reina down and did nothing with it. And obviously on the feet, he was just a dead man walking. One knee to the body from Nickal. He decided that he signed out. He might have to rethink the career path that he's gone down. So Reina already beating Nickal. Super satisfying to see. One of the biggest fraud checks we had this year, especially for the talk that Nickal was giving it in the hype that he had. And the opportunities as well. The UFC kept putting him on like main cards of pay-per-views where he had nothing to back it up as well. So Derrida finishing Nickal, definitely one of the most satisfying wins we've had in modern history. I'm also going to go with Usman versus Masvidal 2. Now, I'm a massive Masvidal fan, and I was a massive Masvidal fan, so a part of me did want to see him win, but I can't lie. Seeing Masvidal get knocked out in the way he did against Usman as well, just because of the smug personality that Masvidal had, saying he's going to break his face, the trash talk that Masvidal had coming into the Usman fight in the second time around, but he had nothing to back it up. He got dominated the first fight. He didn't have a single win after losing to Usman the first time to make him get another title shot. So again, that smug personality, same thing as, you know, calling it Usman pillow fist as well, crotch sniffer, boring, saying that he's going to break his face, and then even in the fight, grinning at Kamaru Usman, kind of mocking him during the fight. And then a couple of seconds later, Usman lands that massive fucking right hand down the jaw of Masvidal, the guy with one of the best chins in UFC history. At least that's what people were saying. And to put him out cold in the fashion that he did, I feel like Masvidal needed that, because it wasn't even just the Usman fight, but every contender was getting it from Masvidal. Obviously, the whole Leon Edwards situation from Masvidal. This was before the Covington fight as well. He was one of the most smug fighters in the UFC. A lot of people disliked him. To see him get knocked out cold in the way that he did against somebody that was called him pillow fist, like I said, a boring fighter, saying that he's going to break his face when he's the one that got broken. One of the most satisfying losses we've had. So yeah, Masvidal getting knocked out by Usman. And on the topic of Usman as well, Colby Covington. Now, I feel like every Colby Covington loss is satisfying, but I feel like the first time around was the most satisfying. Obviously, Colby Covington, I don't need to tell you this, he's one of the, you know, the loudest mouths in the sport. One of the biggest trash talkers, one of the most arrogant personalities in the sport. It is a character. You know, everyone knows it's a character, but it's still irritating as fuck. And this fight was definitely the sweetest as well. The way that he got his jaw broken. He didn't just lose a pitter-patter decision. He got smashed to pieces. He got dropped, bullied by someone on the feet. Like I said, he broke his jaw and ended up getting finished by Kamaru Usman on the UFC to get rid of his winning streak as well. And seeing Usman beat Colby the way that he did, beat him like he owes his money, as Joe Rogan would say, massively satisfying to see. Like I said, every Colby Covington loss, satisfying, but this one, he took the most damage. It was his first big loss of his career against Usman, who, like I said, he was calling boring and whatever. So Usman smashing up Colby Covington, super satisfying to watch. I'm just going to go with Curtis Blaydes versus Jelton Almeida. This is another one of those losses, or another one of those fights that I was just celebrating like crazy when Curtis Blaydes was able to beat Jelton Almeida, because Almeida at the time, he was stinking up the heavyweight division. He obviously had that 25-minute fight with Derrick Lewis, which might have been one of the most boring main events we've had in modern UFC history. It might be the worst main event we've had in modern history. And even the fight itself was fucking horrible. It was literally just Almeida holding Curtis Blaydes against the cage. That's all there were to it. To see within a blink of an eye, Curtis Blaydes rain down ground and pound and get the finish over Jelton Almeida, smash him up to pieces and get the finish. Super satisfying to see. First of all, it was good to see Blaydes win. You know, he's a bit of a veteran of the heavyweight division. It was nice to see him kind of shut down this prospect in Jelton Almeida. And in terms of Almeida, he kind of changed the style. Well, he changed the style of Jelton Almeida as well after this, because we've now seen Almeida go out there and get 2 straight finishes in his next couple of fights after Curtis Blaydes. He looks a lot more hungry out there. He's willing to strike a lot more as well. So Curtis Blaydes finishing Almeida. It was good to get rid of Almeida, kind of switch up his style. And again, the boring style of Almeida, him getting finished in the way that he did, holding onto a leg, getting smashed down by Curtis Blaydes, ground and pound and getting finished. That was satisfying to see as well. I'm going to go with Tuivasa, knocking out Greg Hardy as well. Yeah, Greg Hardy, obviously piece of shit human being, criminal for, you know, some horrible crimes. So to see Tuivasa walk out, I think it was the Spice Girls that was walking out, nearly getting finished as well by Greg Hardy, getting caught by a massive hand, just a clobber Greg Hardy with a massive one coming in, sleeps Greg Hardy, dances over his lifeless body after it as well. Tuivasa knocking out Greg Hardy, massively satisfying to see. Like I said, Greg Hardy's a piece of shit. He was actually having some success in MMA as well, and he would have been ranked, and like I said, he wobbled Tuivasa, and Tuivasa, after walking out to the Spice Girls, just clobbers him. And after this, it was kind of the beginning of the end for Greg Hardy. He was never really the same after this loss to Tuivasa. He's been getting knocked out in the UFC. He's now been getting knocked out in boxing as well. The downfall of Greg Hardy's been crazy, and for Tuivasa of all people to be the guy to kind of initiate that downfall was satisfying to see. I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. Paddy brutalizing Michael Chandler at UFC 314. Chandler has to be one of the biggest fake nice guys in the UFC. Obviously, he's got this kind of motivated nice guy personality, but he's such a dirty fighter. Those back of the head shots against Charles Oliveira at UFC 309, the gushing blood in the face of Dustin Poirier, the eye gouging that he does knows. He's a very dirty and subtly dirty fighter as well, is Michael Chandler. Obviously takes on Paddy Pimblett, overlooking Paddy Pimblett, saying he's going to go out there and knock him out, whatever. And Paddy Pimblett put a beating on Michael Chandler. He made him look amateur as fuck. He was beating him on the feet. He was bullying him on the ground as well. Everywhere the fight went, Paddy was brutalizing Chandler, and then to get the finish in the way that he did, slashing him up and cutting him open brutally with elbows, which has definitely made, well, I definitely don't expect to be seeing Chandler back until probably like February at earliest next year, because of the amount of damage he took in that Paddy Pimblett fight. So seeing Paddy finish Michael Chandler, and another reason as well was just the amount of opportunities that Michael Chandler was getting given. You know, the guy's what, 2-4 in the UFC now, 2-5 in the UFC, taking a shit ton of losses, keeps getting these big opportunities. I mean, the guy got a #1 contender fight against Charles Oliveira when he was like, what, 2-3 in the UFC as well. So seeing Paddy Pimblett go out there and just brutalize Michael Chandler, it was satisfying to see. Chandler was smug. He's a dirty fighter. Paddy Pimblett cleaned him up, and probably the best win anyone's had over Michael Chandler as well, because in every Michael Chandler fight, he has some success early and then he'll lose. In this fight, there was no success from Chandler. Just minute 1 till he got finished, he was getting smashed to pieces. So seeing Paddy finish Chandler was satisfying as well. I'm going to go JDM versus Belal Muhammad as well. Yeah, Belal Muhammad, respectfully, he's just an unwanted champion. He's got this dorky personality. He tries trash talking, he tries selling a fight, it doesn't work. Dorky personality, nothing going for him on the mic. He needs to stay away from mics, if anything. He'd have more aura. And 0 highlight reels as well. Don't get me wrong, dominant wrestler, but as far as highlight reels go, Belal Muhammad isn't one of those guys. You know, he's known for having this kind of low-paced grappling approach, not really, you know, a dangerous guy on the ground as well. To see JDM go out there, force a fun fight out of Belal as well, force a fun fight out of Belal Muhammad, make it into a scrap and take the belt away from Belal Muhammad, saving the welterweight division and obviously setting up this super fight with Islam Makhachev. That was another satisfying loss to see as well. I just, listen, Belal Muhammad, people say he's overhated. You can say what you want about Belal. I don't think he was a good champion. I think up there with Belal Muhammad is one of the worst and most unwanted champions in modern history. And for JDM of all people, this fun Australian boxer who comes to scrap every single time, be the guy to take away the belt from smug Belal, especially with the things that Belal was coming out and saying, it was satisfying to see. I'm going to go with Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. Yeah, Diego Lopes finishing Silva. One of the most satisfying wins of this year, because Gene Silva is just like a mosquito. He's just like an irritating guy. You know, on the mic, he doesn't know when to shut up, even though obviously English isn't his first language. That Bryce Mitchell press conference, I can think back to it. Even though I think he did a good job at selling the fight, it was just he was doing way too much, and then obviously trash talking Gene Silva, trash talking Diego Lopes before the fight, getting up in his face and everything. And we're talking about Diego Lopes, one of the most likable fighters as well. To see Diego Lopes after coming off a loss bounce back and dominate Gene Silva in the way that he did, give another loss to the fighting nerds, take him down, out-grapple him, smash him up on the feet, smash him up on the ground, finish Gene Silva with his own move as well, because we kept seeing Gene Silva spam these spinning elbows, and then the first spinning elbow that Diego Lopes landed ended up crumping Gene Silva, and especially after the fight as well. Gene Silva has the, you know, the audacity to try and slap Diego Lopes after losing, just showing the type of guy that he is. Seeing Diego Lopes, of all people, be the guy to smash up Gene Silva, super satisfying to see. That was definitely one of the most satisfying losses. I'm just going to go with Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. I feel like any Juliana Pena loss can kind of be satisfying, but I just massively dislike Juliana Pena. She's one of the most irritating people on the mic. She continuously yaps. She's got one of the worst voices as well. This super high-pitched voice. Doesn't make any sense. Super demanding, and she's one of the most, like I said, one of the most irritating fighters on the mic in the UFC, and especially when she was coming off a bad loss to Amanda Nunes and a robbery win over Raquel Pennington as well, an ass-whooping in a robbery, and she had all this trash talk before the fight, and to see that, you know, Kayla Harrison go out there, do her thing, easily displace Juliana Pena. It wasn't even like a close fight. Took her down and dominated her, and eventually got the arm, and now she's set up this massive fight with Amanda Nunes, and Juliana Pena's been booted away from the title picture. Another satisfying thing to see. I think Kayla Harrison's one of the best champions we've had in modern history. Scary human being, dangerous fighter, potentially can be a star in Women MMA as well. For her to be the one to beat the shit out of Juliana Pena was satisfying to see. So her shutting up Juliana Pena. I'm also going to go with Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelley. This was a classic. I think it was 2021 when this fight took place, but this was a classic as well, because obviously Tony Kelley, he was a weird fighter, man. He obviously had that dirty Brazilians comment that he said when it was cornering Andrea Lee. After that, he was complaining that people had a problem with it, not really taking accountability for the action that he said. On top of that, ends up missing weight against Adrian Yanez, giving the middle finger to the crowd on the weigh-ins, giving the middle finger to the crowd before the fight as well. Just a super disrespectful guy. And Adrian Yanez put a massive fucking beating on this guy. Walked forward, put a beating on him, made him wobble all over the octagon for the time that we're in, and eventually knocks him out. The referee as well got a good kick in there as well when Tony Kelley got knocked out as well. And Tony Kelley's never been seen since. After he got knocked out by Yanez, he got cut from the UFC. He's never fought since. So seeing a piece of shit like Tony Kelley get beating the shit out of him the way they did against Adrian Yanez, and it was fun at the time as well because Yanez was one of the best bantamweight prospects. He was on this winning streak, KO'd a bunch of guys. Another one of the highlight reel, knocking out Tony Kelley in Texas. That was again one of the most satisfying wins we've had in modern UFC history. But that's my list of some of the most satisfying wins we've had recently. Let me know if I've missed any fights out, if you agree with the ones that I've put on this list. But yeah, those are the most satisfying losses. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.